Coming up at number 12 on our Locked On Senators NHL Draft rankings, it's Gabe Perreault. Pilsy, we've been doing this so long, we're getting brothers. In 2020, we profiled his brother, and now it's Gabe Perreault's turn, and this guy just had a historic season at the U.S. National Team Development Program.
This kid puts up points. We already talked about his two line mates in Will Smith and Ryan Leonard, and now it's time to get to Gabe Perreault. You mentioned it. We were looking at Will Smith, and we're like, oh, man, how much did he lead this team in points by? He didn't even lead the team in points. It's Gabe Perreault that led the team in points, and Gabe Perreault didn't just lead the team in points. He broke an all-time U.S. NTDP record. Not Austin Matthews, not Jack Hughes. No, Gabe Perreault is the holder of most points by the U.S. program with 132 points in 63 games. Wow.
It is shocking. Like, did they lose any games last year? They had like 3 guys with 100 points.
I mean, if they did, it's like 7-6 OT loss.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this guy was, what, a plus 79 last year? Like, this is absolutely out.
When your plus minus is more than your games played, that's incredible.
You're doing pretty well. Gabe Perreault's a left wing. He's a little undersized, 5'11", 165. Who's to say he can't grow into that frame? We already talked about the point totals, most in a single season in the program's history, 132 points, only 8 penalty minutes, 53 goals in 63 games. And the rankings, for once, almost seem to have a consensus. If you take out the top and bottom, it's 9 to 15. Like, that's the range where you're looking at Gabe Perreault. If he was Matthew Wood's size, he probably goes top 5 in this draft. And you look at just what he does in the offensive zone, the creativity is unreal. And I don't buy the fact, and some people are saying, like, yeah, he's benefiting of Will Smith's elite playmaking ability. And I'm not saying that Will Smith isn't an amazing playmaker, but I'm saying that this guy's able to create for himself as well.
Ross, I think not only is he able to create for himself, from the highlights I watched, and I'm sure some scouts that have watched much more film on the U.S. program would tell me different, but that's fine. I'll put my stance here. It seemed like Gabe Perreault was kind of driving that line. Like, he was the one that's setting everything up, because Ryan Leonard, he's your classic power forward, big, strong guy, meat potatoes type game. I'm going to get pucks on net. Will Smith is the guy with all the flashy skill, and he's got a little more size, and he's the big name prospect. But don't forget about Gabe Perreault here. He was a big, I mean, when you break an all-time record for points and you lead the team in points, that goes without saying. But he was a guy that, from the highlights I watched, it really seemed that he had the most complete tool set offensively than any of those guys. He's got the vision. He's got the playmaking ability. He's got the creativity. He's got the soft hands. I mean, there was one highlight, Ross, where it was just him in the offensive zone with the puck. 4 Swiss defenders were in a box in the slot. And he went through all 4 of those guys and slipped it past the goalie. Like, I was just amazed at what he was able to do. And when you watch more highlights of him, it really shows that, yeah, this guy is supporting his teammates more than his teammates are supporting him, at least from my vantage point.
And one other thing I really love from watching the highlights, it seems like it's on his stick, off his stick. Like, he's able, like, especially when he's breaking out of his defensive zone, and don't get it twisted, we're going to get to a 2-way forward later in the show. This guy is all offense all the time. Like, he wants to puck on his stick. He's not going to be on an NHL penalty killing unit anytime soon.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
But when he gets the puck, when they're breaking out of the zone, he's able to hold on to it just long enough that guys will come towards him, and boom, it's off his stick again. He's able to play that give and go style. And in the offensive zone, man, it's just creative genius around his game. And I love it. I think a team, especially if you already have like a defensive mind, you know who really stands out here? I don't think he's going to be on the board late enough, but maybe they're even going to be aggressive to jump up. I see a perfect fit in Nashville where you hear Barry Trotz coming in as the PM. Do you know what he said? Give me high swing upside picks. I will fill in the lineup with the guys who can play defense. This is the definition of a home run swing, because you're banking on the production to translate. And there's a bit of unprojectability, if that's a word, but there's a bit of risk, I guess, in the projectability of the style of game he plays. Will it work in such a structured game like the NHL? Because he kind of banks on guys to get out of position defensively to attach to him, and then he makes his play. So I am worried a little bit about that, but the jaw-dropping skill is clearly there when you watch his tape.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ross, it's funny you mentioned Nashville, because I know player comparables haven't exactly been my expertise, so I'm going to use the EP wording, shades of. I really like that. I think that's a better term for it. The shades of that I came up with for Gabe Perreault, Matt Duchene. And I know Matt Duchene plays a lot of center, but he also plays the wing. Gabe Perreault's a winger. And what made me think about this is, think of Matt Duchene in Ottawa. Like, I know those were...
I don't like thinking about those times.
But I'm not... don't think about those Ottawa Senators. Think about Matt Duchene in Ottawa. He played some of the most incredible, meaningless games I've ever seen. Like, he was pretty much a point-per-game guy. He was exactly what the Ottawa Senators wanted and gave up a lot of assets for. Like, I'm not putting that failure on Matt Duchene. He did what he needed to do. And when he was on the ice, he was weaving through guys. He was setting guys up. Like, I really see a lot of Matt Duchene and Gabe Perreault. So that's interesting you mentioned Nashville there.
Yeah, I like that. And I mean, his dad played a cup of coffee in Nashville, 69 games, had 57 points, actually, was his most productive NHL season, was with the Nashville Predators. But his dad played almost 900 games, played 860 NHL games, plus 54 more in the postseason. You might remember him as a part of the Leafs teams who beat Ottawa in the early 2000s. The Yannick Perreault, great face-off guy. But yeah, his son's a winger, just like his brother, Jacob Perreault, who's now playing with the San Diego Gulls. Kind of had a bit of a lull this year with them. A lull for the Gulls. My goodness, end the show right now. But no, when you're talking about Gabe Perreault, you're talking about a guy who brings it offensively. What are the scouts saying about Gabe Perreault? The scouts are saying in the EP draft guide, who actually has him ranked lower than most, the starting point in any conversation about Perreault's game is his hockey sense. He's among the most intelligent players in this class, even convincing some are ranks that he was a superior thinker to his line mate Will Smith at times. Scott Wheeler says he's clever beyond belief, maneuverable facilitator and playmaker who plays the game with a light touch and a heady spatial awareness of not only where his teammates are, but where he is in the flow of games, which kind of speaks to what I'm saying about being able to kind of draw defenders to him and make plays, be able to really distribute the puck offensive in the offensive zone. So huge Jacob Perreault fan. I think he's going to be the kind of guy who winds up on a lot of highlight reels, maybe at both ends of the ice though.
Yeah, you mean Gabe, you're a huge Gabe Perreault fan. I mean, maybe you're a Jacob Perreault fan as well, but yeah. And I think that EP quote is...
And there's a third, Jeremy Perreault, coming soon.
Okay, we'll hit him next draft, I'm sure.
Oh, he's actually 24. He's aged out. So sorry, bud.
Okay, so we won't. But EP's quote is similar to what I was saying. Like, I'm glad that I kind of got some vindication there. Like, I looked at Gabe Perreault and I was like, why is he so far behind in the rankings than Will Smith and Ryan Leonard? Like, sometimes I was like, Will Smith is lucky to play with Gabe Perreault. Like, that's how I felt. So that's interesting that some of the scouts and EP feel the same way, because this kid is talented. And I really think, Ross, whoever gets him, he's going to be a really good second line winger, in my opinion. And he's going to play on a top power play. And I just think his ranking is not necessarily going to line up with where he's going to be picked. I think a team's going to get very lucky in snagging him in the low teens.
Don't know where he's going to be picked, but we do know where he's going to play next year with both his line mates, Will Smith and Ryan Leonard. He will be taking his talents to Boston, where he'll play with the Boston College Eagles. And
shipping off to Boston. We
haven't even mentioned 18 points in 7 games at the World Under 18s. A very skilled player. It's Gabe Perreault. For more on our NHL draft coverage, you can head over to the Locked On Senators YouTube channel, where our individual profiles will live forever.